Welcome to HirePHD's Alternative Career Path Success Stories, ACPSS. I'm Connie, your host today. Today we have Daria with us, who is a founder of the company called Harvard State of Mind. I'm so excited. Welcome, Daria.
Hi everyone, and thank you so much for having me here. It's a true pleasure.
Tell us more about yourself.
Yeah, so I have a background in law. I used to be a practicing lawyer, and I worked in arbitration, and then I transitioned to academia, and I did my PhD in Italy at a place called the European University Institute. And then I decided to become an education consultant because that's what it has been a parallel path for me for quite a while. And I just accumulated so much knowledge and expertise that I decided that I want to do it full time. And I've been doing that full time for about a year. And I'm based in Berlin at the moment. That's in a nutshell.
Daria, how did you go from law to education? Tell us more.
Yeah, of course. So I have a lot of overlapping things in my background. For instance, I have not one but two PhDs, and I was doing one as I was working as a lawyer. And I sort of, for a while, I just was doing so many things because I was enthusiastic about law, and I still am. I just have other projects that I would like to realize. And I remember when I was a law student, I saw an announcement of a short study abroad program. It was funded. It was a summer school at the University of Regensburg in Germany, and I applied and I got in. And I remember that feeling that when I saw this international bright and shiny opportunity to study language and law in a different country. I didn't know why, but I felt like I really, really wanted it. And since then, I've applied successfully and unsuccessfully for many study abroad opportunities. And I just started accumulating, all that knowledge that you need to have because applications are hard. And there is so much that goes into them. First, you write motivation letters and statements of purpose, and then because as I progressed academically, you write grant proposals and so on. So there's a lot of knowledge that goes into it. And I had first friends come to me for help, and partly it was technical help, with the strategy of the application itself. A lot of the times it was motivational and inspirational help, this, you can do it, and why can you see that you're very accomplished, you definitely should apply, all that sort of thing. And I was doing that for friends, and then I joined a couple of friends, not startups, but advisory programs. For instance, an acquaintance had a mentorship platform where he had all of those international mentors like me, and he connected them to prospective applicants. And I did that for a while. And about mid through my PhD, I started just creating materials for people who are applying for masters or for PhD or for postdocs. I started creating courses and guides for them, and it just it was so important to me that at some point I decided that this is what I want to do.
You never expect what you get in return by just lending a hand, right? And then that become your career. That's amazing to hear. How is your job looking like right now? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I work from home most of the time, and I have several components to what I do. And a lot of what I do is write. I write articles on my blog about how to approach specific parts of the application. I write posts on LinkedIn. That's a huge part of what I do. And then I have a consultancy I have people who come to me for either a consultation or for an essay review. And I do that. That's I would say that those are the biggest parts. I do have some projects that are academic, just because I want to finish them. For instance, I am converting my PhD thesis into a book, and that occupies part of my time as well. But mostly it's writing and consulting prospective applicants on how to do their graduate and postgraduate applications.
That sounds like you're very happy about it. And I remember talking to you and asking you this key question. What makes you want to start your own company rather than working for somebody else?
Oh yeah, I think I am very lucky that I'm good with self-direction. And I function really well when I have a large project where nobody can tell me what to do. And I think that's why PhD or 2 PhDs really worked well for me, because I was just very happy to have an opportunity to design my own work. And I'm very good with it. And I'm also very good with deciding when I work and how, because like for instance, when I worked for a law firm, I really liked that. And I gained so much experience from that, but I just couldn't sustain that 9 to 5 schedule, because I usually work in sprints. Like I can work for like for 3 weeks almost nonstop, but I will need then a couple of weeks off, because I have done so much cognitive work that I need to redirect, and I need to just take distance and see what I'm going to do next. And that's why just things like business or PhD, they work really well for me. So I would say that I have that inclination. And I would say that for me, it was just really, really important to decide what my work is going to be. And that's why I've been gravitating towards like maybe not a startup, but my own consulting practice.
There's a lot of PhD who want to do that, but many of them are contemplating, how do I do that, or should I do that? Like we always ask this question because not every career path fits everyone. So like Daria, what you have described, if people who are listening, if that is you, it's probably a good fit, right? It's like if that makes you feel happy, that's probably a good fit for what Daria is doing. So like Daria, if you were to do it again, would you say like would you go? I know you work with somebody for somebody else first, and then start a company. Like if you do it again, would you go do the same thing, or would you just go and start a company?
I definitely would work first for someone else, and what I would do is I would actually spend more time working for someone and in parallel building my own business. Because something that I did, I thought that for me, like for the transitional period, it would be enough to do one postdoc. And I actually did 2. Like I did one short postdoc and one longer postdoc after my PhD, as I was building just the foundation. And that still wasn't enough, because doing your own business is just so hard. It's so hard. And I remember actually I had a postdoc offer. I was supposed to go to the University of Tel Aviv. And I thought, no, I'm gonna branch out on my own sooner. And that made things harder. So if I could pass on advice, I would say just build more support than you think you'll need, because there will definitely be planning policy in terms of how long it's going to take you to just become fully independent and fully operational.
Yeah, that is a great advice. Like, why are you doing postdoc? Maybe you can start the company. If it fails, you still have a salary, right? Yeah. And then Daria, you touch on about, oh, it's very hard. Oh, startup. Tell us more about your own experience. What is the hard part, and how did you overcome it?
Well, I think for me personally, a very, very hard part was that I am an immigrant. I'm not in a position in which many immigrants are, which could be worse. I could definitely be in a worse position. But being an immigrant still hard. It's still hard. And um, I was an immigrant when I was doing my PhD. And even though I had a safety net of the university and all that institutional support, it was still hard. And then I moved to Germany. My partner is here, and it was just easier to be here. And I speak German, and that made things easier. But that adds a layer because you have to navigate not just living in a new country, but a whole new layer of bureaucracy related to entrepreneurship. Another hard part is that you never know when your income is going to come. You can have multiple clients in a week, and then you can have weeks without clients. And that is very, very hard psychologically until you build the trust. And I already, as I mentioned, I've done so much. Like I've been doing things for years, and I had people who were coming to me through referrals, and that still wasn't enough. I still had to build more and more. And so I had some savings. So I had part of a grant from a postdoc that I saved, and that was supporting me. Another hard part was that like it's one thing to read books on business, but it's completely different things to test. And when you're building business, you're just testing, I don't know, like dozen hypotheses in a day. And you're like, you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh no, like that's what I read about Edison, how he, like, you know, what I read in grade 6 about how he found like 1,000 ways how to not build a light bulb. That's what he meant. And you wish that you just found the right way right away, and it doesn't happen. And I would say that what helped me through that was that, first of all, that actually the support that I built, it was invaluable. Like all the materials that I've created, for instance, I had created a couple of courses and a lot of blog posts while I was doing my postdocs and a PhD. All that goodwill that I created, that was really helpful. And then, of course, the people, like the support that comes from people. I have a partner, I have my sister, my mom, they're very far away. And they have no idea what I'm doing. Um, but they are supportive. And it's just like doing a business is a team sport. Even if you're doing like technically you're building your business like a one-person business, it's still a team sport because you have to engage other people either for emotional support or to reach out for help with other things that are business related. And I would say that something that has been insanely helpful are the messages that I get from people whom I helped. And sometimes they're clients, sometimes they're just people who read an article of mine and decided to connect on LinkedIn or via email. And that brings me so much joy. I actually started, so I started a folder that I call a Patronus folder. And I save there like all the messages that I get from people, just to remind me when things are hard, that it's actually not in vain.
Wow, that is such a good trick, everyone. Like it's I all the entrepreneurs that I interviewed, they always say it's hard, and then everybody have their own trick to keep themselves going forward. And then Daria's trick, like I love it. It's like, hey, collect the goodwill, the things that people say good about you to remind you, like, hey, you did good stuff. right? So yeah, it's lovely. And like how I know many people will ask this question, and I'm curious too. Like, how did you find clients?
Oh yeah. So I actually well, first of all, I had like when I started posting, especially on LinkedIn, and for a while I posted on Facebook. I had some people from my network who they were like in a latent like contemplation stage. They wanted to apply somewhere, and when I started posting that I am doing this consulting, they started coming to me and asking for various types of support. Then some people come through Google because my some of my articles they rank very highly. And actually, I had a client who found me through ChatGPT. Uh, ChatGPT recommended me, um, and uh, and then there is a platform where I post. It's a specialized platform for Master of Laws applicants. I wish there were more specialized platforms, but that's the one that I have at the moment. And there are discussion forums, a lot of discussion forums. And I post there, and some people come through those discussions because they see what I write.
Yeah, so like another thing is the topic that you really want to talk about. Like, how did it come to you? What you want to blog about?
Oh yeah, so I think what I started with was very simple. I wrote about my own problems, um, and for instance, when I was applying for all those scholarships and masters and PhDs and so forth, the hardest part was writing essays about myself. That was just something that I never had to do. And I am from Russia, and the way you write applications there, if you do, it's very formalistic. Nobody's interested in your motivation. Just, I remember, like I wrote a letter for a governmental scholarship. It would be very weird to write an American style letter for that, um, because you're supposed to write about why you are qualified in a very formalistic manner, and it took me years to first of all to just acquire vocabulary of how to write about myself in English. I had a decent legal vocabulary because I've been working in English for a while. But for instance, when I was applying for a Master of Laws in the US, it was just like creating a whole new like layer of my brain specifically dedicated to those essays. And my first blog posts, they were about that, how to write about yourself, how to analyze your profile in a way that's not like self-indulgent, but helps you look at yourself from a position of emotional maturity. And that's what I started with.
And I love what you're talking about, like about the challenges in working with a foreign language. This is such a common issue for all PhDs. Most PhD who are not native English speaking, including me, right? And then if you're writing a blog, your audience are not your academics folks who just understand the same language. It's you need to be broader, right? You need to be more everyday language. That was tough. So now you're talking, I think you're talking about very related to what your company does, right? Right? Like, can you tell us a little bit more about relating to this topic, what your company can offer?
Yes, sure. So I have, first of all, a library of materials that I created, and a lot of them are articles. That I have two courses, self-paced courses for people who want to apply. At the moment, it's for applications for a master's.
Master in
And
law, right? Or is it more than
um,
that?
so my materials are targeted at lawyers, but I worked with different audiences, and I found that the principles, they are usually very similar. And in my courses, I aim to translate those principles that are helpful for just if you're applying for a master's, and a big part of your application or essays. Like I talk a lot about writing with or without AI, and that's one way that I help. And the courses are available on a pay what you can basis. So I just it's very important for me to help people in different socioeconomic circumstances, and that's what I do. And then I have a consultancy, and one can come in either for a one-off consultation, or with an essay or another document for review, like a grant proposal, a CV, like anything that relates to my expertise, because I've gone through all those stages, and I help people at different stages as well. Or I do advising that, like, for people who don't know anything, like where to start, how to go from where, and I do that type of admissions support as well. So that's the components.
Thank you. That's fantastic. Like, we'll make sure to link Daria's resources below. So if you need Daria's help, you can get it from the link below this video. And there's another question,
Of
common
course.
question, but I'm gonna ask that in a different ways. Like, if you were to go back, do it again, would you do your PhD in law?
Okay, I mean, I think I would, and I would actually do both, because very often the question I get is not why you did a PhD, but why did you do two? Like, what happened to you? It's just, why do you keep doing this to yourself? So just a little bit of context. I have both PhDs are in law, but the decision making behind them was different, and I sort of I adjusted as I moved through life. And when I started my first PhD, I was just very, very young. I was right out of law school. And I did it on a sheer enthusiasm for law, because I really like highly abstract thinking. And I also like when it's connected to social problems and to people. And law is just a combination of those two things for me. And that PhD was very enjoyable. It was very hard because even though like I had a full tuition waiver, and I had like officially on paper I had a scholarship, but the Russian scholarship was tiny. It was like an equivalent of $40 per month. And so I had to work full time to support myself. But I really enjoyed it. It influenced my thinking in so many ways. And I also got to do a lot of cool stuff as a researcher, because I had to collect a lot of literature. I was doing comparative research, comparative law research, and I did a lot of research stays and just exchange studies. And I really enjoyed my status as a PhD student. And a huge part of my PhD was my supervisor. Like it was like in Germany, there is a term in German, like Dr. Vater, like Dr. Father. And that's like he really was like a true Dr. Vater. I can get emotional here, because like he just supported me in so many ways, very, very big ways. He gave me so many recommendations. So many recommendations for everything I wanted, and he involved me in a bunch of his projects. And when I was applying to the US for a master's, I was very naive. Like I did not quite, like I was 25, I did not understand how American education market works. Like I didn't understand the extent to which it is capitalist, because like everybody said, well, like it's very hard to get a scholarship, but it's hard everywhere. And when I traveled academically in Europe, I always had a scholarship. So I thought, sure, like if you are hardworking, you study very hard, you always get a scholarship. And then when I got admission to NYU and Harvard, and they had given me $30,000 grants. I realized that well, that's just not enough. And my supervisor, he found a sponsor who covered a huge part of it. And so he just like that PhD has given me so much than a PhD would normally. So I would definitely do that again because most of my life would never happen without it. And then the second one in Italy, it was very different. And I started doing it because after Harvard, I got a job in the Netherlands for an international institution. And I thought maybe I would like it. Maybe I don't want to be an academic. And I think after the first week there, I thought, okay, this is nice, but I want to do something else. I really wanted more freedom because I couldn't stand the bureaucracy and how much I just had to do what other people told me. And I was very lucky to get that grant in Italy. And that was a very different one because it also, it just gave me 4 years of living on my own terms. And I think that's just so valuable. So I would definitely do that again.
Yeah, I was so immersed in your story that like one thing, supervisor changed it all. Like
Yes,
my
exactly.
supervisor, I called her like she transformed me from a stray dog into a show dog. Yeah, she just picked me up from like somewhere on the street that people won't even look at me because I didn't have a very high grade, and she sees something in me, and then she grew me up into somebody like this. That will never happen if I didn't follow her for all these years, right? Like you said. So I really feel what you're saying. Yeah, getting emotional too. Yeah, and then another thing is like is many people that they say they will never regret it doing a PhD, they really see the value they extract out of it. It's not the degree itself. It it's like the journey, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's a journey, the all the things you learn. And then like related to that, so what skill set did you get from the your experience you find most valuable for what you're doing now?
I would say, well, I've mentioned this a few
Mm-hmm.
times, but writing,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like even now that everybody is using ChatGPT, just being a very good writer, it really helps me because I have had to learn how to communicate my ideas effectively across multiple audiences, and it's a skill that I use daily. I would say also research because so many problems in my life I solve through research and just working with information and organizing it in a way that works. It is so valuable to me. Thinking in hypotheses, and I think especially for someone with a background in law, because there is a move among lawyers to a more like science-based thinking. And like what I did for my second PhD was like a very classical, like a social science qualitative type of study. But a lot of lawyers I see, they have this dogmatic thinking, and they perceive a lot of things as as they are like the laws of physics. And I'm very, very happy that I'm not like that. And I would say PhD really facilitated that, because it
Yeah.
just sharpened so much of how I look at the world and how how many things I question. I think it made me smarter, and it made it, and being smarter makes it a little bit easier to live, I find.
Yeah. Yeah, I find that transformative moment too for me is like before I go into grad school, I don't really understand what critical thinking means. My supervisor took a long time trying to it's how do you tell somebody, how do you teach somebody how to critically think? It's not something like you write a definition and do it. It's not like you have to feel it, right? You have to open that suddenly you open up your mind, say, "Oh, I need to question things, but in the right way, not like oh, we're that's like without research, right?" And on
Yeah.
that, I feel like make us unafraid of the unknowns, and then get excited about complex, vague problems, right?
Yeah, yeah. Or even, like something that I found, something that very, very simple, maybe like one of the areas that I'm really interested in, and maybe that will be part of my blog someday soon, is the skill acquisition. Just how do you acquire new skills? And for instance, for me, it was very natural to um, like a lot of things that I absorbed from the mainstream culture, like things about like if you're not born with a talent, you shouldn't do anything. Like like all those like, very mainstream cliches that I absorbed from culture. For me, it's very natural to uh, well go and find some peer-reviewed studies on skill acquisition and test a bunch of hypotheses or assumptions that I have. And I've recently realized how actually non-mainstream this thinking is, because like when I talk to people about like some very, very simple things like hobbies, like I had a conversation a month ago with an acquaintance, and she's my age, and she said, well, I always wanted to learn to dance and to sing, but I don't have a talent for it. And I asked her what is the foundation of that belief, and she said, um, well, I'm not predisposed like my brother is. And I, okay, yes, but is there more to you? Is there more to your thinking, or is that the only data point you have? And that was the only data point she had. And it was so like it just unbelievable to me that like for some people it's enough. Like whatever they absorb from outside world, whatever the world tells them, they just proceed on that basis.
And that one data point become the fact, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, right? Like yeah, I know I'm like echoing. And then I know also before I did grad school, I probably think like that too. And then just something like transform us. It's like we cannot go back, right? Once we realize, oh, we cannot go back. It's almost like an enlightening process that's oh, the world is bigger than we thought. Yeah, and it's not as scary as we thought. For the unknowns, right? And then it's another thing that I took from you is that's a good lesson. Like PhD also teaches us how to learn a new skill methodologically. Like we're
Yeah.
not afraid of it because all of us, if the research protocol calls for it, whatever skill it is, so too bad so sad. You have to go learn it. Like coding was a big thing for me. Like I refused to code for longest time, but my PhD, if I don't know how to code, I cannot graduate. I'm like, okay, I'll learn it, right? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing. And then I hope looking forward to your blog coming out because I definitely want to share that with other folks who has that self-limiting thoughts like I cannot learn that. And I know, listen to Daria, you can. Yeah.
Yeah, or like listen to people who studied it for years. There are a lot of them.
Yeah. So like now, do you have any final advice or anything that we haven't covered you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, I think well, something that I found really helpful is that And it has been a process and still is a process. And it's going to probably sound very trivial, but it's just something that I thought I knew until I realized I didn't. And that's like openly asking for help when you need it. Because I feel like both in my PhD and in building a business, it's been a skill on its own that I had to learn. And I thought I was good at it. And I just wasn't. And I think that a lot of people, I see that there's this this myth, probably it's rooted in this very like Western individualistic type of culture that like you win alone, you fail alone, like everybody for themselves, and like, a lot of people, at least based on what I see, people who come to me, they don't ask for help when they need it because again, from the mainstream culture, they absorb that if they couldn't do it alone, they're probably a failure. And I think it's very, very important to just check in with yourself and ask, well, I think that I have all the help I need, but maybe I need more, and it's okay to ask for more, because genuinely life is a team sport, and of course, like all the things we do in life are a team sport as well.
I love that quote. Life is a team sport. Like when to ask for help is such art. And I totally agree with you. I love that closing. Like for our audience, life is a team sport. You need to ask for help when you need it. So thank you so much, Daria, for your story and words of wisdom. If you like today's episode and want to hear more about career journeys, please like and subscribe down below. And then we'll come back with more videos to help with your career transition.